This conference will now be recorded.
But since we do have such a small group here, we want to really open it up for a forum. If you guys have some questions, we're gonna go through some questions and answers. So first things first, I'm gonna go through a couple things, and if I forget anything, please don't hesitate to remind me or ask any questions as we proceed through. One of the things that we're working on right now is our asphalt project. They came out of the gate running really quick and doing really great. We had some hiccups last week with their machinery, which slowed the project down a little bit. And we were looking at beginning to mill and pave the other half of package 3 this week. Unfortunately, that's not going to begin for about another week now. So we're kind of pivot and move over to the Trigger Wrangler area and work on those sections while they're trying to get their machinery back up and running for section 4. So that's kind of what's happening in that. If any of you folks are living in package 4 and you're concerned about access to your property, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We've had a lot of folks say, you know, I'm trying to coordinate getting in or getting out, and we're there to help make that happen one way or another. I'll be having an update in the Friday Blast tomorrow in regards to the asphalt project and try to give more detail on exactly what the ins and outs are, if there's going to be any closures. Fortunately, so far, they've been really good about trying to maintain traffic in one direction or another. It might be a little bit of a mess or trying to get through, and if it's even graded, but it's still accessible. So we've been working with the residents and working with the paving company to make that seamless, and so far, so good. We've also been doing some improvements to, we had some improvements done to Cox communication lines. You guys, I put a blast out last week that said that they upgraded their nodes, which is really their devices that are bringing in your Wi-Fi. So if you're using Cox Communications, they're trying to enhance their product. They've received a lot of calls from our residents here at Happy Trails saying that you know, your service is slow and it's not responding like it should. So that's what they were shooting for. That has been done, and it is working now. So I don't know if you folks are seeing an improvement with Cox Communications. We don't in the office only because we have fiber. So that existing fiber had already been you know, in play in our office area. So it didn't affect us at all. But with all of the folks here that are on Wi-Fi, that upgrade would really help. We are still proceeding through our palm tree pruning. I sent a blast out last week that explained that Monster Tree is having a little bit of a struggle. One, with maintaining his employees and keeping his employees on the job, and just in general completion with the weather that we're dealing with. So he's dedicated to the completion of our job. All of the common area trees are trimmed, or most of the common area trees are trimmed, with exception to the green belts that need to be climbed. But they went through initially on all of the private properties and trimmed everything that they could reach with a boom truck so that they could get the boom trucks returned to the company they leased them from. So they could come back and then trim the rest of them by hand by climbing them. So you'll see Monster Tree in and out. They're dedicated to come in and finish this project. The challenge is that they are now beyond their schedule, so they're into the midst of all of their other projects. So we've got them a couple days a week, and we're trying to push as much as we can to get him on this property so that he can finish up these palm trees for our residents. That's something that we've heard from the residents that it's taking longer than it should, and I agree, it's taken longer than some, you know, prior years, but dealing with some obstacles there. Let's think of another project we have going on. The roofing project is nearing completion. We've got some material sitting in town center that needs to be picked up. The town center roof here is completed. We got a little bit of woodwork to do just for aesthetics. NC1 is also complete roof wise, and we're really happy with the product on the roof. Our maintenance employees have just finished the NC1 flooring. I know a few folks have been in the NC1 flooring. We really are happy with that floor. It looked beautiful. Got that old carpet out of there. And as of yesterday, they just finished the flooring in the chaparral and those classrooms in the back. And those carpets were really, really rough too. So some major strides to really, really make a difference and try to put some efforts into beautification and bring some new life into our buildings. And it's been going really great. So that's a little bit of some stuff that's been going on. One of the most recent conversations has been our monument sign on social media. Our monument sign is in the middle of progression. Where we're at right now, we had all of the letters test fitted, and we've come across some issues with the test fits. We found that our shadows are a little bigger than we want them to be. So we're going to make some adjustments on our shadowing. We're going to lower those bars so they're closer to the wall. We're also going to get some powder coating done for those letters. The powder coating is going to bring color to those letters. So there you'll see more progression of that monument wall as we go by. It's not complete at this point. So just stay tuned. And we're hoping within the next couple weeks we can have some progression on that wall and get some completion. Yes, ma'am. Yes, so the question here was Happy Trails Resort is missing off the sign. Yes, it is going in the center of the monument, and it is going to be a larger piece in the center with Happy Trails logo across with our mountains and our logo, and our cactus and whatnot that's coming. So it's a lot more artwork that's going into the centerpiece for Happy Trails than the signage on the exterior. Yes, sir.
Mike, what color are they going to powder coat that?
Well, right now we have 5 different colors that we're trying to determine which color the letters are going to be in conjunction with the wall. And where we come from on that and why we didn't do this in advance is because we wanted to see, before we picked out the color, what exactly the rock looked like more than a yard, a cubic yard. When you buy a rock, you pick a rock, you look at a cubic yard of it, you put it on 216 inches, it may look darker or lighter or whatever. So we really wanted to determine what the rock was going to look like before we picked out colors for the actual powder coating of the letters. They have to contrast each other, of course. You can't be blind there. We all know a lot of the comments on social media is, you can't read it. Yes, we know. You can't read it. It can't be read right this moment, but with the right contrast and the right depth, we're looking to make that better. So still working on that. Hang tight for that progression. And I think with that,
I do want to say, I think you're all going to be very pleased with the centerpiece that's going to say Happy Trails. Again, like Michael said, we are putting a lot more into that centerpiece because that represents Happy Trails itself. So I do, in my opinion, think everyone is going to be very pleased with that once it's completed.
Hold on, we got one over here. I'll be over there. I'll be over there just a second.
How is it going to be lit?
So we're going to use LED lighting. It's going to be under lighting from the wall. So we had existing lighting out there when it was mangled by that car.
No neon signs.
No neon signs. No neon signs. LEDs are going to light the actual wall.
I have another question for you. Right in front of the gazebo, that big branch that's hanging right over the golf cart lane is going to be hitting a car that's parked there.
I saw that on Tuesday and I wrote a work order for landscaping. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Are we going to be able to get in and out of the teardrop when they tear Trigger up?
Yes. So we're only doing the north side of Trigger. So from the valley gutter over to that curb. You saw when they did the curb side over there, what we were dealing with is when we did that road in 2021, they inadvertently, we had some issues and it pools on that area over against that curbing. So you saw they come in and they cut out all the existing curb to raise it up 4 inches. That's where all that water was standing all the way down. So we're only doing from the valley gutter down that side. So we'll have traffic control, allowing traffic in both directions on the south side of Trigger. So it'll remain open during that time. Good question. Thank you.
Tony Calabria, lot 643. And on the monument sign, you know, that's what I noticed and that's why I came. But I'm just a suggestion with that little bit of yellow and kind of a gold color in that back brick, those letters in gold would look beautiful. That's just my opinion.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay, I think we got one.
I totally disagree with that.
Okay.
I think they should be dark. And are you planning on having shadowing? Or are you going to bring those letters close enough so there's not shadowing?
Yes, we're bringing the letters closer to the wall so there's not shadowing there. Because if we have a dark shadow and you have a dark letter, it almost looks like a mirage, more or less. You know what I mean? So that was one thing right off the bat. They're almost 4 inches off the wall, and those brackets need to be cut and brought in closer and welded closer so that there's not that shadow behind them. Yes, that was one of the major things. When the sun is just right on it, it's perfect. But every other moment of the day, it's terrible. So we know that that's an adjustment that has to be made. And we are leaning towards a darker color, but we have multiple colors we need to look at down there to try to figure out, because the centerpiece as well is going to have more color. Our cactus and like our pampas grass that comes out on our logo and whatnot, we want to incorporate some of that. As you can see here, like kind of like this. It will not look like this, so don't freak out. But the cactus and the pampas and the sun and whatnot will actually be in a mountain behind it, and it'll all pop out. So those are going to have some color in them too. So we're trying to coordinate the color so it doesn't all work against each other there. So we're thinking dark as well, but we'll have to look at that and figure out exactly which colors are going to be right.
I forgot to ask you a question. I was under the impression that you weren't going to do anything in package free. Where is, you said half of it. Where is it going to be? South of Dale Evans?
Did I say, if I'm said package 3, I'm sorry, it's package 1 on the south side of Trigger. My
Because I
apologies.
didn't know the trigger come out there.
Yeah, no, we're not doing anything to package 3 this summer. We'll be looking at probably next summer for a crack seal and a seal coat to package 3.
Just a quick question, because I noticed this morning they've got marked off, I'm over there in package 7, in that one spot where it's going to be fixed. When is that planned for milling and so forth?
So as of right now, I'm going to have an update for that tomorrow, Sue. We talked with them this morning, and that was part of our pivot, the adjustment being made. We were looking at doing the work over on Trigger. They were looking to start it on Tuesday, but we have some more concrete work there. So we're probably going to look to have them do that early next week, and have them do Trigger towards the end of the week. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But wait for the blast tomorrow. I'll have it spelled out more detailed of exactly what's happening. The good news is about that corner, it is going to block off that Ghost Rider that comes around the corner to, what is it, Pat Brady there? No, it's not. Anyway, Nellie Bell or whatever road it is comes across there. It is going to block that corner, but we can take Nellie Bell around the outside and we'll have that entire area open there, because they're only going down so far to the valley gutter. That was the area that we had not seal coated in 22 when they did it, because we had pooling there. So that pooling has to be modified before we can come in, and then they're going to end up doing a mill and a partial mill down that valley gutter. So it shouldn't be too invasive one way or another. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll pop in with the street signs. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Question about the gazebo.
Yes.
Heard that they want to do some updating on the gazebo as far as color in that. Now, is that something that will come under the landscaping committee's workings, or who's going to be making those decisions?
As of right now, the landscape committee is working on discussions of the gazebo. They're talking about painting the interior walls coming down the boulevard, and they're talking about the painting of the gazebo, but it's at a very preliminary discussion point at this point. There hasn't been any motions on the table. The landscape committee has a meeting next Wednesday at 11 a.m., and I presume that there will be some more discussion at that point. As of right this moment, there hasn't been any colors that were brought to the table saying this is where we're at for approval. They're just in heavy discussion. I think that, everyone has a different idea of what looks right and what doesn't look right. So there's a lot of opinions on which direction we should go. So it's just a discussion point at this time.
I also want to speak on the gazebo. Hopefully the colors will be Southwest colors that will go with what we have on our buildings now. And also, are they going to carry it up to the sawmill in that area where every building is a different color and paint them all one color, which will fit into the community better?
We won't be painting the buildings this summer. That's probably a project that we may start next summer because all of our buildings do need painting, including the sawmill, like you said. So we will be looking into starting that painting. I'm assuming, but please don't hold me to it, that we might start that project next summer. Once we've got all the asphalt work, because remember, this is our last year for all the asphalt work where all our money's been going the last few years. As far as the landscape committee, I know they're getting some proposals, and I'm hoping that they will probably present proposals to the board for the September meeting for approval.
Hi, Mike. What is the status for the chuck wagon remodel?
The status for the Chuck Wagon remodel. So where we're at right this moment is we are proceeding with scheduling the flooring for the dining room. That's one thing that has been done. There has been lights purchased for the Chuck Wagon. They have not been installed at this point in time, but that's kind of where we're standing right now. We have to get the flooring done first. Once we get the flooring and baseboards in, we're not going to do that in-house because realistically, time-wise for a chef, in order for us to do it, we would need weeks, and we need to have it only enclosed for days so that we can get in there and get that floor done. So we're going to outsource the company, come in and do the flooring from outside. It's actually through Home Depot. They do all that installation. They tear it all out. So that's going to be coming soon. We're waiting on a final date for the installation. We can coordinate with chef and when to close. We're hoping really, really soon. Because they've been slow and it would be the ideal time to get in there and get that done. While we're in there on the flooring, we're going to throw some paint as well, get some new paint on the walls in the dining room and into the Chuck Wagon area. Some little modifications there, and then we can really focus on, or let the board focus on some furniture and all of that kind of stuff after we get the basic infrastructure taken care of. But the floor is going to be huge. The paint is going to be huge, some lighting. It's really... Oh, I'm sorry. It is a wood flooring, so we're getting away from carpet. We're not going carpet in that area as well. Yes.
Are you planning on setting up a committee that will help with the design in there, or is this going to just be the board?
That's a good question. At this time, it's the board.
Is the community going to have any say in that at all, or is it just, I mean, are there designers on the board? Are they interior designers? Do they have the skill to do it properly?
There has been discussions with designers, and we have had conversations and meetings with the designers, and in one in particular that they've been working with. What gets contentious, Jan, is that we get to a point there's so much feedback, and we get into a situation, especially with little things like the Chuck Wagon and design. We've got so many situations where we have so many different opinions of what it should be. So it gets really, really tough when we all sit in a room and say this is what it should be, because half of us may not agree, and that's what gets really challenging. I think that when we bring folks together for a committee, that we've tried in occasions before, and it's not always successful on actually coming to a conclusion and getting to the end game of that. I think that there is definitely a possibility of they might want to put something specific together, a small group together to say, hey, look over this stuff. I don't know exactly which direction the board is going. There hasn't been discussion of an ad hoc committee at this point in time for the design of that, just the board working with a designer.
I think it would be advantageous to have a committee, and also when they get the design in mind that they want to use, to be able to put some kind of a display up for the community to see. I think otherwise you're going to have so much uproar, just like the sign in the front.
Okay, again, we'll run that by the board and let them know. Again, moving forward with the flooring, I think that's a must, whether we have a committee or not, because that flooring, that carpet in there is just, it's time to remove it and start fresh, at least with the flooring. And that's what we are going to be doing.
I have a question. is it gonna be the Western style of lighting, like a wagon wheel? Not those lights that shine down?
So they're not wagon wheels, but they are Western themed. Yeah, they're darker, like wood cherry kind of looking Western style lighting. I don't know how else to explain it. Western lights. Yes.
Thank you. I want to keep it that way.
There was a question online that I don't want to forget about was the street signs. The street signs have been ordered. They're in production with Fast Signs. So we've got 288 beautiful street signs coming to Happy Trails. There's going to be some formality to our signs. As you drive around, there's a bunch of different styles and shapes and sizes and colors throughout. So we're going to have some legitimate color throughout, some formality of the signs. I think they're going to look really great. The company is going to be coming through and installing them for us. And activities will be taking the old signs and working with our residents to raffle them off and do some really neat things with all of our old signage throughout the season. So we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, different color signs, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. With the signs, productions, they're looking for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks for production. And then we'll schedule them to come out on site and do the installation. So that'll be all new hardware for the top of the signs, so that they can bolt them all nice. You know, they're going to be reflective as well. I think they turned out really nice. So they are a different color. We went with something a little bit different, but something that's going to pop out really nicely and have the reflective to it. So we're really excited to have this new street signs out, and they're going to look really nice. Hopefully within next month, we can have them on property. Wood flooring, not laminate, right? Agree about removing the carpet. Yes, wood flooring. So it is not a laminate flooring. It is what they refer to as I'm trying to think of it. It was I would have to look at it. It's not a laminate flooring. It's a wood flooring. Yes. And it's commercial hardwood floor. Do we have any other questions in here this morning? I'm sure there's other things that we could all think of if we sat around too long. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us anytime. Our main office is open from 7 to 3. We're here for you folks if you need anything at all. And we're excited to get to the beginning of our next season with you folks. So thank you all for coming, and we hope you have a wonderful day.